Deering here with PPLSI, independent associate with LegalShield and IDShield. And today, I cannot believe it, is day 11, or I should say episode 11. And today is Cyber Monday. And so what a perfect way to really end our last of the series here on the 28th, Monday the 28th. I think it's kind of fun. And so keep in mind that today is Cyber Monday. And if you have any questions, welcome to put them in on the comments. I can see them. I can answer questions as well. So feel free to do that. But today we're going to transition. The last 10 episodes, this is episode 11, we have talked about, honestly, we've talked about a lot of things, but most importantly, we've talked about who's doing it, how they're doing it, prevention tips, industry responses. What are some of the best answers out there? And what was interesting to me was those were all about individuals. Today, I thought it would be really important to talk about how it affects businesses, because if you think about it, even though it's a ransomware, it's a cyber attack, it's a data breach, it's a phishing attack, right? That can cross over, obviously, because there's an individual at the end of that that's being victimized. So it's also one and the same. And so cyber crime really does affect everybody. And we've all been a victim of getting a letter from somebody that says, hey, we had a whoops, sorry about that. And so it's important that we understand that it's not just a business problem, that we're on the back end of that. If there's a data breach, like I said, or, attack, phishing scheme. So at the end of the day, unfortunately, cybercrime is really on the rise, and they're attacking businesses, and it's up 400% since March of 2020. And the email hacks are sky high at 600%, 43% of online attacks now aimed at small businesses. Why? Because if you think about it, why would I go after the big, huge companies? It would be a lot easier to go after a real estate company, a mortgage company, a financial services company, a local chiropractic office, a business coach, because what's in their database? Well, credit cards. And are they going to be as up to snuff potentially on thwarting against cyber attacks and ransomware and things like that? Probably not as much as a large, huge entity. And so what we found is, again, 43% of these online attacks are now really aimed at people that are just everyday business owners, right? That have an e-commerce, whether, it's a legging online company, an Amazon business you've got. So this is the challenge. But like I said, they're not very prepared for it. Only 14%, really have paid for cyber attack insurance, which you should definitely do, that have some sort of a defense mechanism in play. And so we're going to talk about a lot of that here today. And so I'm going to let you know that there's a lot of information, and just for the sake of time, we're going to keep it pretty high level overview here today. We're not going to get too far in the weeds, but I do want to share a couple more facts with you today. 76% of cyber attacks were inflicted upon a company that had less than 100 employees. So if you think you're not at risk, we are. And so, each new vulnerability discovered increases your level of risk. And 88% of small business owners feel really vulnerable, whether they're willing to admit it a lot or not. And unfortunately, an attack like that could actually put a company out of business, because there's some other statistics that say that once a company has been hit with it, there's a few things that are going to happen. It's something like 60% of them go out of business within the next preceding 6 months to a year. One, because their reputation and their ability to be solvent has really diminished. It's a bad reputation now on them. That's number one. Number two, it can be really expensive. Some of the red flag rules require that you go out and purchase a program for identity theft program for all of the victims. So if you have a large database of clients and their information was exposed, that can be very expensive. You could also maybe have to hire an attorney. You may also have to pay the ransom, which happens a lot, until your insurance can kick in, but you need to pay that up front to be able to get your data back. So you might need to hire a PR firm, might need to hire an attorney, and all kinds of things. And so this is why a large majority of those businesses that get cyber attacks or have some sort of an issue, they go out of business. They just cannot withstand it. And like I said, it is a business. So there was a company that was ironically, in the security arena here and where I live locally, large company, 1,000 employees, and they were hit, and it was kind of a game for the thieves. They thought there was a Russian company, because at the end of the cyber attack, when they got their ransom, they let them know, yeah, we're a legit company in Russia that has done this, and here's some prevention tips. A little insult to injury. Here's some prevention tips on how to thwart against it in the future. I thought, wow, that is some gutsy stuff right there. So really, what do we need to do? So, it's big business for people. So there's a couple things that we really need to do. And this is according to the National Institute of Standards and Tech. And I want to thank my good friend, Steve Rummel, for helping put together some of this information on the, PowerPoint here. But what do companies need to do? Well, they want to make sure they identify, protect, and detect, right? Respond and recover. Those are the steps that we need to take. And so again, you need to make sure you identify. What does that look like? Well, you might have some scans and vulnerability scans. Protect. You got to employees need to have, again, the two things that are most required for them is a password manager as well as a VPN1 proxy, because they're the two most vulnerable people that are able to get that information potentially, breach as an employee. A lot of times they like to, do their cyber attacks like on the weekends before a long holiday weekend, because you wouldn't notice. That's why they do it on a Friday of a long holiday weekend when the company's going to be closed. We want to be able to detect it. So whether it's our service, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about, or whether it's, another service, you need something that's going to be able to go on there and detect. And if it happens, you need something that's going to be available even 24 hours a day, weekends and nights, to be able to respond swiftly, because they're going to have to get in there, screen share, try to close some of these vulnerabilities. And you need a recovery plan. So whether that's paying the ransom, whether that's buying cyber attack insurance, which I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do. Again, you're going to have to pay for some of that stuff up front, but then, the ransom would most likely be recoverable by your insurance company. And they're getting more expensive every day. So the longer you wait and not buy that, the more expensive it could become. And so with these areas, I'm proud to let you know that, our company, we can help with, because businesses over 1.7 billion losses last year were compromised just due to emails and risky emails. So I'm going to share with you what we do. And, you can use us, you can use somebody else, but really these are the areas that they told us that we really need to look at. Number one is vulnerability scans. And so we will sit on the up to 12 IP addresses and look for vulnerabilities and send reports. And there's 100,000 different vulnerabilities that we look for. And these monthly reports will show some of the risks that are involved. That's number one. Number two is we do remote technical assistance. So we can, hop on the computers, resolve some of those cyber risks right then and there with patches and some other things. We also provide live support, specialists every day of the year from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, because we know that things can happen on the weekends. That's one of the biggest, ripest times for them to attack. So we will also review your vulnerability scan, apply, like I said, patches, remove viruses and remedies, things like that. And then we have an emergency response, because again, they really like to hit when nobody's around. And so what you can do is you can, reach out and 24/7 be able to leave a message and get a call back right away, which I appreciate that. And we provide up to $100,000 in a protection policy, that coverage for losses incurred as a result of the cyber attack. So that can be used for forensic specialists. It could be used for legal expenses. It could be used for, actual extortion losses. It could be used in all these areas. So my recommendation, again, is obviously purchase something like this, but also get your cyber insurance from your business thing. So our IDShield for Business Essentials, which will do 6 URLs, is $79.95. And if you went up to 12, we're going to do it for $149. So with that being said, I just wanted to thank you all for spending this 11 episodes. This is the last episode where we really just cover business and how that affects you. The other 10, if you want to see them, is really what is identity theft? We spend on the first one, some facts about it, who's doing it, how they're getting your information, prevention tips, industry responses, and the best possible service that I think, otherwise I wouldn't represent it. And then as well as today, we just chatted a little bit about business cyber attacks, but it's not just business, right? Because they want our information. So hopefully that helps. You can always reach out to me. You can go to my website at kaideering.wearelegalshield.com. All of that information is there, or you're welcome to message me on this platform and let me know what questions you have. We could set up a Zoom one-on-one. We can answer your personal questions. But with that being said, I just really want to thank you for your time. Take care, take charge, and we'll see you over the top. Happy Cyber Monday. Bye-bye, everybody. Stay safe out there.